Snaking its way through the countryside of Southern Virginia, this beautiful 3.2-mile strip of asphalt has been around since 1957. But now, for the second time in 3 years, the Virginia International Raceway is home to the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Welcome to the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Our broadcast brought to you by Mazda. My name's John Phippen. I'll be giving you the play-by-play. Alongside me, Lefty McLeod. Larry McLeod, now a four-time solo nationals champion. Larry, thanks so much for being with us again. Looking forward to this one. This is our second largest field of the runoffs.
This is one of those classes when you see the list of when they run, you have to circle this one. This is a don't-miss race for sure.
Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. These cars are all identical. There is a little different wiggle this year as the new Sept sequential gearbox has now been homologated into this class. And a number of the drivers will have it. And depending on who you talk to, they say it's worth about a half a second, maybe as much as a second a lap on some racetracks.
Yeah, it seems like it's worth a little bit of time, mostly because the gear ratios now are a little bit better for it in some spots. So all the front runners have it. Basically, they say if you're not running one, you're probably not going to be anywhere higher than about 15th.
Yeah, exactly right. So there will be some others that are still working with the H-pattern gearbox, but nonetheless, that is the evolution of Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 as the field of cars, all identical with that exception, obviously. They're all same power plant, same chassis. This class originally was Sports Renault back in the day. These cars designed and built by the Renault factory back in the day when Renault was still a vendor of street cars here in the United States. But then it became Spec Racer Ford when the Renault power plant was no longer readily available, so the Ford power plant was put in, and then the Gen 3 car with a newer, more contemporary Ford power plant with much higher revving and quite a bit quicker became the Gen 3 car. And now with the option of the Sept sequential shift gearbox, the evolution of this car continues, as they are all identical with the exception of that gearbox.
And today we get one more wrinkle a lot of these drivers haven't tried, which is the new rain tire.
Yeah.
So for a lot of them, first time on the new rains with the new Sept gearboxes, it's a whole lot of new happening today. And we'll see if that guy in the middle of that shot has something to do to try and defend his already twice national championships, Bobby Sack, going for a third.
Two-time and defending champion of this class. As you can see a pan of the field working there where there's John Black, very familiar livery in that number 17. The Californian, a four-time champion, most recently in 2016. Our pole sitter, Frank Futrelle, also a former winner, but not in this class. He won his lone national championship in Formula Mazda, actually. A Formula class which no longer runs in SCCA competition.
Yeah, part of that new Formula X homologation type of class, kind of all sort of stuck together. But here he is running now from the front of the field in what's a very, very deep, talented SRF3 field.
Third member of our broadcast team, Hayward Wagner, is down on the grid. Hayward?
Guys, the weather has been very consistent for the last couple of hours. We get a couple of little increases in rain that'll slow down a little bit, but not enough to dry the track, not enough to change anything in setup. These guys have not been on the track here at all in the wet this week, and probably more importantly, almost none of them, if any of them, have any experience on this particular rain tire. This is a new rain tire from Hoosier. Nobody has really had a chance to run it much. I asked a couple of guys who they're watching for, who to look for. One of the names that comes up immediately is Dave Ogburn. Dave is a professional tire tester. He's an engineer, works for a tire company, tests tires, feels them out all the time. Certainly that's going to give him at least a skill advantage in learning this tire. Of course, I asked Denny Stripling who's going to win. He said probably whoever makes the least mistakes. And I said, okay, but who's going to win? He said, I'm going to try to make the least mistakes.
That's words to live by, Hayward. Absolutely. The driver who makes the least mistakes in these kind of conditions in a spec class where all the cars are virtually identical is going to be the one who comes out in front. This is a big field, so I'm going to try to run it for you rather quickly, as we've got 44 cars to get through. In her first runoff start, Andrea King in the 08 out of the Land O'Lakes region is in 22nd row alongside the number 162 of Thomas Kirchman out of the New England region. In row 21, the 47 of Ken Riley out of the New England region, and the 18 of John Doyle out of the New York region. Car number 65 starts in row 20, Dwight Ryder out of the Colorado region, and the 12 of Russell King from the Land O'Lakes region. In row 19, the car 35, Robert Sachs out of the San Francisco region, and the 21 of Charlie Rogers out of the Central Carolina region. In row 18, Greg Miller in the 04 out of the Ohio Valley region, and the 64 of Matt Gray from the Land O'Lakes region. In the 17th row, car number 8, Jean-Luc Liverato, moving over to this class from the Atlanta region, and another Atlanta region driver, the 92 of Chuck Newman. In row 16, the number 77 of Andre Pera out of the Oregon region, and the 74 of Sal Weber from the Lone Star region. In row 15, car 197 is Mark Balanchi out of the Cal Club, and a rookie making his first runoff start, the number 55 of Sam Schechter out of the Washington, D.C. region. Row 14 has the 133 of David Anzalone, a late entry to this class out of the New York region, and the number 45 of Tom Burt from the Northwest region. In row 13, number 80 is Whitney Strickland out of Houston, and the 00 of Scott Monroe, also from the Houston region. In row 12, the number 48 of Chris Jenner-John, the 2020 Formula V national champion, moving over to SRF3. He is out of the Indianapolis region. Next to him, the 5, another rookie, Lincoln Young, making his first start out of the New England region. Row 11, the 59 of Wade White out of the Tennessee Valley region, and the 192 of Mark Eaton from the Central Florida region. Another driver, a late entry to this, the 2010 Spec Miata national champ, the 67 of Andrew Charbonneau out of the Central Florida region. Car 41, Matthew Horst out of the Atlanta region. In row 10. In row 9, car number 30, Joe Colasaco out of northern New Jersey, the 2005 champion, and another rookie, the highest placed rookie in the field, the 88 of Calvin Kautz out of the Chicago region. In row 8, the 24 is John Green from the Atlanta region, and the multiple national champion, number 11, Mike Miserandino out of the Cal Club, a 5-time champion, most recently in 2017. Row 7, the 07 of Justin Clotcherty out of the Detroit region, and the 119 of Todd Vanacore from the Central Florida region. In row 6, car number 62, TJ Acker out of the Cal Club, alongside another former national champ, Jim Goffrey out of the Florida region in car number 68. He is a 2-time national champion, most recently 2007, also from Formula Mazda. One of Sports Car's picks to finish on the podium starts 10th, the 61 of Brian Schofield out of Central Florida, a 2-time champion, most recently in 2013, and the 99 of Caleb Schrader out of the Oregon region. Moving forward into row 4, the 25 of Richard Baldwin out of the Delta region, and the 108 of David Ogburn out of West Texas. That's the driver, the tire tester, if you will, that Hayward mentioned in his run-up. Bobby Sack, picked to win this one by Sports Car Magazine, a 2-time and defending champion in the number 19 car out of the Detroit region. Next to him, car number 7, Sandy Satullo out of Hillsborough Beach, Florida, and Buddy Races out of the Northeast Ohio region. Now for the front 2 rows. Car 4 is Denny Stripling out of the Texas region, and multiple champion, 4-time champion John Black in the number 17 out of the San Francisco region. His 31st runoff start. He is a 4-time champion, most recently in 2016. Picked to be on the podium by Sports Car is car number 23, Charles Russell Turner out of the Washington, D.C. region. Andrew Polson, car number 97, Franklin Futrelle out of Atlanta in the Atlanta region. He is the 2008 Formula Mazda national champion. Got through them all.
It's a long list, big class, but even though despite being a big class, there is a lot of familiarity with the front runners to each other, a lot of partnerships pairing up.
Let's have a quick look at the track. Larry, take us through it.
Sure, down into turn 1, it's a downhill braking zone, very treacherous here on these damp conditions. As they get through 1, they start twisting around through turns 2, 3, and probably the most treacherous corner 4, 4A. Probably going to see a lot of diving in to see if we get things sorted out. As we get into that, you go around 5A, and we go through that snake, the lower S's. down that short straight into the upper S's, 7, 8, and 9, and then the infamous South Bend, that fast, high-speed left-hander that then plummets down the hill and takes you into where the old oak tree used to be. Come off at 12 and the longest Madison Avenue straight away all the way to the top of the roller coaster, and it is, as it sounds, all the way down, twisting and turning, plummeting towards turn 17, the famous hog pen, and there isn't much grip here this weekend, so that'll be not one you want to get caught in.
Back onto the straightaway, 3.27 miles. The race distance will be 15 laps or 40 minutes, whichever occurs first. Touch wood. Let's hope we can stay green all the way. As these drivers, this biggest field we've had so far, begins to form up, 44 of them.
Let's see how much patience we get out of the front 8, the first 4 rows, or if somebody decides they want to pick up a couple of spots and make it a 3 or 4 or even 5 wide down that front straight.
The oldest adage in racing is you can't win the race at the first turn, but you can sure lose it. As these drivers lined up well, the Mazda Miata safety car will pull into the pit lane, turning the field over to Frank Futrelle and Charles Russell Turner. Charles Russell Turner, by the way, can win the super sweep with a win. He doesn't need any help, so if he can take the top spot, he would be our first super sweep winner of this runoffs. Nice sedate pace as the field's still straggling at the back as these 22 rows of cars get lined up. And you can hear the engine revs pick up as the green flag flies, and it is side by side all the way back through the field as they work their way down to turn 1, fanning out 3 and 4 wide. Look at the spray kicked up by these cars. But it looks like the 97 of Futrelle is going to have the advantage, but hanging tough on the outside is Charles Turner. They're still side by side. Turner will now have the inside at NASCAR, and we do have a spinner. It looked like the 88 went around.
And there's collision back there between the 88 and one of the other cars trying to avoid him.
The 88, Calvin Kautz, has looped it. And at the moment, he is not rolling again, but as we sort it out at the front, it is the pole sitter Futrelle with the advantage, followed by the 23 of Russell, and then Russell Turner, and then John Black, the veteran campaigner, in that red and blue liveried machine in the 3rd spot. Coming through the snake for the first time, the field begins to fan out, single file, as they work their way under the bridge and up to speed.
Interesting as they come down the straight the first time, take the green flag, that no one was yet into pushing. Lots of gaps and lots of opportunities. Everybody probably wanting to see where they're going as, there we go.
Full course yellow.
Yeah.
Looks like that 88 car not able to get rolling again. As we can see.
Pretty quick though.
Yeah, safety vehicles right there on the scene. And they will pull that car to a position of safety. You can see damage to the left front fender as he did make contact, or someone contacted him, I
Yeah,
think.
so one of the things here about VIR, 3.27-mile track, they do have safety cars stationed in 3 different positions around here. They can gather the field if separated in 3 different ways and bring them together to then take greens. I don't see the safety car here yet, but I know that there was supposed to be one down there at that south paddock, that south grid that you can see there. But coming up the hill, we'll see. This is a pretty quick cleanup, having him already on the toe.
Yeah, considering the weather, this has been only our 2nd full course yellow of the day so far, so that's certainly a testament. The green to checker initiative that was initiated by the SCCA to try to make for clean racing, telling these drivers to mind their P's and Q's and let's not have any race stoppages. As we're going to get a replay of the start as our leaders working their way down the roller coasters. You can see fanning out 4 wide, lots of spray kicked up, 0 visibility.
Turner really pushing to try and hold Futrelle on the inside, but Futrelle had a pretty good exit there, able to kind of push wide and get his hands opened up and hold that lead down. But there's the contact in the back.
Yeah, big, heavy contact, and that's what did the damage to the 88 car of Kautz and made it impossible for him to continue.
He didn't catch the car number on the one that collided with him.
Yeah, he got well up in the air, so hopefully no damage for him. As we are still, that's still a replay of the start as they were working their way through. As the safety car has picked up the field now. And we'll go around at least 1 time behind the safety car.
Could be pretty quick, but now these guys have all had a chance to do a 2-wide start to go down into turn 1. Now they'll be doing a single file restart that I also suspect we'll end up seeing 3 and 4 or 5 wide before they sort it out into 1. But for Futrelle, he was able to feel out and hold off 1 charger on the first restart or the first start, see if he could do it again. And of course, the 23 of Russ Turner isn't going to be going anywhere. But now you've got those 2, you got John Black, so pretty much the top 4 are still in line as they started the race, as you would kind of expect. These guys are the veterans. These guys are the ones that race against each other all the time. They're not going to make any drastic moves, even though you saw Turner on the outside of Futrelle down into 1. It really wasn't the kind of move that to do any real damage. It was an opportunistic if something was there. If not, you fall back in line, which is what he did.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, he's all these drivers are all veterans. They've got multiple starts to their credit, and they know that the first turn, first lap is not the place to do a bonsai move. You know, let the race settle in, get a little more familiar with these conditions, to what these brand new rain tires are going to bring for these drivers, and find out where the grip is. Again, it was dry all week long through practice and qualifying. This is the first time these drivers have experienced this as a wet track, and it is going to get wetter as the day and the race wears on, as the remnants of Hurricane Ian, after blasting its way across the Florida Peninsula and heading back out to the Atlantic, has taken a left turn and is going to make contact with the Carolina coast just about now. And we expected the center of that, what will then be a tropical storm, to be just west of us in about this time tomorrow. So not great weather on the forecast. So while we've got our first full course yellow, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsors, and we'll be back with the restart of the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs for Spec Racer Ford 3.
Focus, guys. We're in a race to the finish, okay?
Here's where the rubber meets the road.
These initiatives move the needle, like, at all?
Well, let's shift gears a minute.
We're really kind of at the apex here.
We need to put the pedal to the metal. We need to nail those hairpin turns, cross that finish line, and take that checkered flag. Woo!
Hit the track with the world's largest motorsports calendar, track day insurance, and more. Haggerty. Let's drive together.
Introducing the first ever Mazda CX-50.
Back at VIRginia International Raceway for the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Spec Racer Ford 3, our second largest field of the weekend, with 44 cars taking the start. We had an early full course yellow in this race, as we had a couple cars come together on the first turn. But safety crews working to get that cleaned up. We understand one of them was trying to tow away the damaged 88 car of Calvin Couts, and the tow strap on the tow vehicle actually snapped because that car was deranged in the front and put quite a bit of drag and a lot of pressure on that tow rope. So it took a little longer to get that car cleared than we had originally hoped. But hopefully we'll be able to go green here this time by.
Hopefully the backup strap was put into play and things can be cleared for us.
Lights are still on in the safety car, so I believe we're going to go around one more time at least. So just a quick rundown of the order, as we've had a little shuffling. The top 5 or so pretty much as they qualified. Frank Futrelle is your leader. Charles Russell Turner, Russ Turner is in second spot. John Black in third. Denny Stripling fourth. Bobby Sack in fifth. That's pretty much as they qualified, with the exception of Sandy Satullo, who has fallen back to sixth. So Bobby Sack picked up one spot. David Ogburn, one of the drivers that we're watching as the tire tester out of the West Texas region in the 108. Jim Goffrey. Oh, we are going to a restart. My bad.
No, they're waving it off.
Oh, they're waving. Okay.
Yep. Kind of looked like for a second that they would, but see the drivers now all kind of giving each other the wave all the way through. That was. That was it. Oh, that was the push me. That's the push me wave.
There you go. As our leader, Frank Futrelle, was trying to signal to the drivers behind him, line up, let's do a little drafting. But that breaks down about 4 rows deep as they go side by side. They are not permitted to pass until they cross, start, finish after the leader accelerates. But Frank Futrelle with the advantage over Russ Turner as they work their way through NASCAR.
Well, now the leaders have had a chance to feel the car out, feel the tires out. And as I say that, Stripling goes around.
And he is not collected yet, but he almost got collected by a following car. That was a close call. Denny Stripling spinning out of 4th spot.
Oh, that cannot be good for Denny, as he also won lap 1 at Indy last year, got spun off and didn't continue. This is not the way he wanted his race to start.
Exactly. Side-by-side racing down in the lower S's, what they call the snake. And now they're coming up to the high-speed climbing S's, the most famous vantage point here at VIRginia International Raceway.
So typically these cars are very much a bump draft, stay in the draft, stay in line, pop out when you've got an opportunity before braking. But already the car control skills are starting to come in. These guys all kind of equal in terms of the tire, because no one has any experience on it with the Sept gearboxes. So a lot more separation that you normally would see in a dry race here with these guys. There's your defending champ, number 19, Bobby Sack, kind of in the middle there, but lots of gaps in between those top 8. We'll see if that closes up as everyone builds their comfort level with the car.
John Black, looking racing, the 4-time champ in the 17 car, was closing up on the back of Russ Turner. And that would be the battle for 2nd and 3rd. As different lines being taken on the back straightaway as drivers looking for a little visibility popping out from behind the car, which is kind of counterintuitive for these spec racers. As Lefty said, they are accustomed to lining up in big, long drafts. The more cars, the merrier, as they can make better speed when they're hooked up nose to tail. But in these conditions, that pretty much goes out the window just because of visibility concerns, if nothing else.
Well, Sandy Satullo there right now was the quickest through that 2nd sector, and that's helping to close the gap for he and Ogburn to try and keep up to the back of Bobby Sack up in front of them. Whereas right now is John Black out in front of them at the moment, but trying to hold that gap and see if they can make this back again.
Sandy Satullo started in 5th, now running in the 6th spot as Bobby Sack was able to get around him. And then right behind him is Jim Goffrey. No, Jim Goffrey falling down the order. He did not come by. I'm sorry. As Goffrey lost about 5 spots, he came by in 9th, so he must have had an off. And we've got a battle for the lead brewing here as Russ Turner goes alongside our leader, Frank Futrelle. Now he's going to try to go to the inside at the left hook and then drops back behind in the final seconds through the left hook and then into the snake.
If you're Satullo and Ogburn back there, that's exactly what you want to see, is these guys going side by side at some of these corners that lead to long straights. It's your best opportunity to close that gap. John Black seems to be doing just that. Satullo and Ogburn are the next ones in line.
Russ Turner wanting this lead, and are we going to have side by side through the climbing S's again? No. He falls back in single file. Russ Turner, again, as we mentioned, could win the Super Sweep. The Super Sweep, probably the most difficult award for a road racer in SCCA competition. You have to win the U.S. Majors Tour in your conference. You have to win the Hoosier Super Tour, and you have to win the runoffs. And Russ Turner, the only driver who can win that unassisted. If he takes the top spot, wins the runoffs, he will be our first Super Sweep winner of the runoffs. We have a couple other drivers who are eligible, but they need some help. TJ Acker can win, but he's got a whole raft of cars that have to finish 21st or lower to make that come true. So Russ Turner has the best opportunity, but he's got to find a way to get around our pole sitter, Frank Futrelle, and at the moment that doesn't look likely.
Right now he's just trying to see around him. Again, the spray coming off the back of Franklin's car is pretty heavy, so Russ Turner kind of okay to stay there, but he's starting to now sniff a little bit of draft on that straight, and then when they come off a hog pen down the front straight, he'll get that draft again, and then we'll end up with a braking contest. But look at Franklin Futrelle using curves even, coming down the roller coaster. It's the last one you want to probably try and avoid, but certainly clobbering the one there on driver's left as the 18 is off track.
That's John Doyle, number 18 out of the New York region. As he spuns it coming right off of the oak tree bend, just got on the throttle a little too soon.
So much power in these cars.
Yep.
A little bit of shiny pavement there, I think, may have led to his spin.
Yep. As we turn our attention back to this battle for the lead, as they are in turn 1, known as the horseshoe. And into the sweeping left-hander at NASCAR, so named because it's sort of reminiscent of a NASCAR turn. And this great battle here between the 7 of Sandy Satullo and the 108 of David Ogburn has been a good one as well. So a great battle at the lead, and this great battle for 5th spot.
They've pulled a bit of a margin on Bobby Sack. Bobby, last lap, about 2 seconds slower than Satullo and Ogburn, running 4th and 5th. So the defending champ now at 9 seconds off the lead, about 5 seconds off of that battle. You can see him there just now coming into shot. He's got some work to do to catch up to this front 5. The front 5, at least they can see each other. For Bobby, though, he's not quite in visibility range.
Yeah, and you know, that's a shame for Bobby. He was picked by Sports Car to be the winner of this one. And he is a recipient of the Super Sweep Award in 2020, 2 years ago.
And last year's race in Indy, he walked away in a class, in a field that normally is a whole lot of drafting. He managed to keep that lead, and there goes Sandy.
Around goes Sandy Satullo. And again, that's an area where there's the tire barrier is not that far from the racetrack, but he was able to get it solved. Now, he killed the motor, but it looks like he's going to be able to roll. Now, one thing that you have to watch, anytime one of these cars goes off, the radiator inlet is right down next to the track, and it is going to be full of grass clippings. And these cars will overheat in a heartbeat if that radiator opening gets blocked.
Maybe lucky for Sandy, he did most of his sliding backwards, and so not much grass would have gone in.
But sadly, he has to drive forwards, and he's going to pick up all those clippings in that radiator. I was going to say, what happened to
a little bit of a gap
Russ
forming
Turner?
there.
Yeah, Turner's fallen off the pace just a bit, and he's falling into the clutches of John Black. You know, there's a puddle of water there at the hog pen on the outside, and if you get just a little bit too wide, that car can aquaplane right off the racetrack, off to driver's left. There's a big grassy runoff area there. You don't hit anything, but you certainly go a long way into the weeds. As Frank Futrelle stretching his advantage now up to just over a second, and he sets fast lap of the race with a 2:23.5. Now the battle is for second. John Black in that red over blue livery. He's run that his entire career that I can recall. It's been a long and a fruitful one.
Middle of that track, looks like it's pretty decent. Then he gets to the outside of 3 there, and just turn in. Lots of standing water. They come up to this. There's just nowhere else to go but to follow the dry line through 4. And just sort of tiptoe around the tulips, as they say. Tulips popping up at this time of year, but I'm sure in the spring they're everywhere. But yeah, definitely watching John Black really put the pressure now on Russ Turner after that. As he kind of fell back into him. John might be the quickest car on the track right now.
Side by side, Satullo again getting nerfed off to the outside. That's a big hit. These cars are pretty rugged. They don't. They can take a licking and keep on ticking. In fact, it's not at all uncommon.
Denny Stripling again with a spin. This time looks like 1.
As damaged bodywork is one thing, but the frames of these cars are pretty stout, and they can take a lick like that and still continue. Yeah, that was a bit of a nerf job for Sandy Satullo. Again, he's recovering from his off-course there at the Oak Tree Bend.
So he just kind of dragged that all the way out to the edge of the track, had the right side tires in the grass when he had to go to the brakes, and let's just say the grip in the grass isn't so good. Stripling probably found himself down there on the braking into 1. So a bit of a rough day for both of those guys, not having the run that they were looking for.
A little deeper in the pack, we've got the 41 machine of Matthew Horst. Horst is back in 18th position. David Anzalone in the 133 just behind him. As Frank Futrelle opening up a pretty comfortable advantage. It was a 2nd and a 10th last time by, and it's going to be more than that now. As Russ Turner, I think, perhaps having to drive in his mirrors just a bit. As here's the battle between the 11 car of Mike Miserandino, multiple former champion. Just behind him, Andrew Charbonneau, who was a late entry to this field.
Miserandino basically dominated in the Gen 2 form towards the closing years before everybody switched over to this new Gen 3 version. A 5-time winner in that Spec Ford Gen 2 class. Was in the 2nd spot of the podium a couple of years ago, I believe, at Road America. Always a contender here. He started a little bit further back than he probably wanted. I think he started back at about 15th spot, but working his way up through the field now, almost to the top 10. Actually 10th as he comes across the straight.
Brilliant livery of the number 25 of Richard Baldwin, as he's moved his way up into 9th position as Todd Vanacore has dropped a couple spots on that last lap. Ryan Schofield has gotten around Bobby Sack to take over 5th spot. So Richard Baldwin now running in the 9th position.
Schofield, another one of the ones that was mentioned by Sports Car this year.
Exactly.
The veterans in the field. Oh, and there's the 48 off track. That should be Chris Jennerjohn.
It is Chris Jennerjohn. Jennerjohn again made his bones in Formula V, and stepping over into Spec Racer Ford 3 for this edition of the runoffs.
Won V at Road America just 2 years ago.
Exactly right. As this battle for second is a good one. Frank Futrelle continues out in front by about a second and a half. And John Black, California, out of Olympic Valley, right in the wheel tracks of Russ Turner in that number 23, looking for second spot.
John looks like he's just learning the lines, learning whatever Russ Turner may have, and seeing if there's opportunities around here. And again, in the rain, sometimes your opportunities present themselves when your competition puts themselves off. Russ Turner hasn't done that yet to help John out at all, but he's definitely looking for a spot as they come down the roller coaster one more time. And if anything happens to the two of them, Dave Ogburn is just about 3 seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds back or so. He can see these guys, just can't quite reach them.
John Black taking a little different line coming down at the bottom of the roller coaster as he takes a tighter line coming through the hog pen, and it looks like he's going to get a run here as he got a great run coming off the hog pen, tucked right on the gearbox of Russ Turner. Stays as close as he dares here with the spray kicking up. Maybe a car length. Is he going to go to the inside or the outside, or is he going to stay line astern? It looks like the latter, as he decides this is not the place to make that attempt.
The veteran knowledge of the 4-time gold medal winner, putting some of that history to work here. See if he can find an opportunity. That car's still looking a little bit twitchy.
Yep.
After seeing Satullo's car, it almost looked like he had some rear brake bias when he went up into Oak Tree on the first spin in the grass. Wonder if some of these guys are starting to really play around with that brake bias as the race goes on, trying to find that right balance. That could be some of the twitch we're seeing.
Yeah. Black in his 36th runoff start, so he is the most experienced of any of the drivers as far as number of starts in this 44-car field. And like I say, he's turned that into success with 4 wins. His most recent one, though, was back in 2016 at the track, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
And he was second last year at that Indianapolis race, in fact, leading a giant train. Bobby Sack had built a pretty good lead, but John able to be the best of the rest, leading the train home to a silver medal.
As we watch this battle for second, is out in front, Frank Futrelle, with about 2.5 seconds lead at the moment.
So I was just reminded that Sandy Satullo actually already ran a race earlier today, so had an opportunity to see the track. And unfortunately, he's also now found the grass, as has the 119.
That's Todd Vanacore from the Central Florida region, and that's a pretty big off, as Todd made it all the way to the tire barrier, and he's going to climb over those tires to stay out of harm's way. That's at the braking zone for the roller coaster down the straightaway. So I don't know whether he hit a puddle of water and got aquaplaned off to driver's right. That's kind of an unusual place to have an off.
Yeah, Todd, traditionally running a lot of prototypes, been in the P1 ranks for a long time, even collected a podium there in 2020 at Road America, jumping over here to kind of the spec world. Kind of things look like prototypes, but trying to run here with these guys, unfortunately, his day is over.
He was running 37th at the time. And once again, John Black right on the gearbox of Russ Turner as they come down the front straightaway, completing race lap number 8 this time. In fact, John Black just set the fast lap of the race. And Russ Turner a little defensive, kind of covering that inside line, not giving Black the opportunity to outbrake him. That's going to give Black maybe a little better exit speed as they come into NASCAR.
John Black, just maybe they both are, but it looks like John Black really kind of sliding that car mid-corner, certainly through one. I'm starting to wonder if that continues, whether he's trying to build heat in the tires or if there's going to be much tire left in another 6 laps.
Our compatriot Tom O'Gorman making a great observation that there seems to be a visible difference in the camber, how much the tires, the rear tires, lean in on Black's car and Russell Turner's car. It looks like John Black's car set up for these conditions. A little better grip in the rear, as they're already encountering slower traffic as the 66 car appears to be going a lap down. 65, excuse me. That's Dwight Ryder.
Tough place to get on the inside there at South Bend, but they make it work. John Black does not want to lose sight of Russ Turner by even an inch. Quite a battle here. They're pushing every corner. And out in front, Franklin Futrelle just continuing to lay down very quick laps, one after another. Doesn't want to see. He wants to see the old twin mirror down trick and not even think about what might be behind him.
And he's got a pretty comfortable 2.5-second lead, so he can afford to relax just a bit. It's all about concentration, though, especially in these conditions. You just got to pay attention because every little move of the steering wheel is so important when the track conditions are this bad. Great lineup. There's Baldwin leading Miserandino and Mark Eaton. A three-way, really a four-way battle. Is Joe Colasaco not far back either? Is that train of cars? Denny Stripling in 13th. At the tail end of that battle.
Colasaco, another one that already saw the track today in the Formula F race, so he knows where the water's standing and where the grip might be.
And there he goes, Mike Miserandino around Baldwin, or at least trying to, as they're side by side into the roller coaster. Baldwin a little later on the brakes. Did he wait too long? Nope, he's able to hang in there. The 30 of Joe Colasaco having gotten around Mark Eaton. Eaton there in the purple car just behind Colasaco, the 192. As they come on to the front straightaway. Man,
Baldwin catching a little bit of curb coming down entering Hog Pen. I worry about that a little bit as we've seen some cars spin doing that, but he's able to make it stick. But Miserandino might be getting a run here. Colasaco might just be the one that lurches around, but there goes Mike.
Miserandino goes to the inside and the run down to turn one, but late braking maneuvers have come to tears at this turn throughout the course of the day so far.
Oh, there
and
you go.
There he goes. Around goes Joe Colasaco. As he does a little agricultural racing and clogs up his radiator.
It kind of looked like a little bit of rear lockup again, as we've seen with Satullo earlier.
Meanwhile, Baldwin and Miserandino still duking it out with now Mark Eaton just behind them. This is the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th.
And they're willing to use the curb coming off at 3. We're not seeing a lot of that, but these guys seem to be okay with it. I worry about Satullo's other incident happening in that spot. I'd be worried a little bit, maybe be a little more cautious about riding those right side tires down that curbing.
We are working race lap number 10 of the scheduled 15, so we're about 2/3 of the way through this one. As Baldwin and Miserandino nose to tail. With Mark Eaton not that far back, and then Jim Goffrey dropping in that spot in the 68 car back into 12th position.
Baldwin having a pretty good race here, but having the multi-time champ behind him is never an easy spot. Miserandino, let's see if we can get a run here off of Oak Tree.
A little too much curb for Baldwin coming through the second apex there of Oak Tree. And that pushed him a little wide. That might be an opening for Miserandino to get a run here on this long back straightaway. As they climb the hill. That's John Black, not that far up in excuse me, that's Caleb Schrader, not that far up in front. In the Golf liveried, number 99.
These guys moving at a pretty good pace. 223s.
Fast.
222s, yeah, they've been moving as Futrelle just resets fastest lap of the race.
At a 22 flat.
Yeah, all by himself. He's not thinking what's going behind him because this is they're trying to get around that lap traffic.
That's Andrea King in the 08. I misidentified Andrea. Andrea King in the 08 car, just going a lap down to this group.
Baldwin wanting to make sure he gets a good run off of Hog Pen, taking the opportunity to duck down the inside.
Meanwhile, back at the front, Frank Futrelle. Kind of a lonely first spot, lonely-ish. About 3.3 seconds separates him from Russ Turner.
I suspect he's got a crew chief in his ear, keeping him company, walking him through this.
Exactly right. As we're closing down on the tail end of this one. Frank is working race lap 11.
The way that Franklin's driving, his crew chief's just telling him, you know, they're coming up on you. They're going faster because Franklin is not at all lifting. He's not holding up. He's just hitting his marks.
His last lap was the fastest lap of the race, so he is definitely keeping the pressure on.
And we talked about at the start that no one had really had a chance on these new rain tires with the SCCA gearboxes, and he who adapts fastest might be the one. And I think I just saw someone go off. I think John Black right there behind Russ Turner might have gone off at Oak Tree.
He's not come into the camera shot just yet. It looked like he was on the verge of going wide there at the first apex at Oak Tree.
It takes more than 5 seconds, and Dave Ogburn is going to be looking at jumping up into that third spot. We'll see if Black recovers. Don't see him yet. There's the 23 at Turner.
And
Don't see the
John
17.
Black
no.
should be there, and he's not. So we'll see if he lost enough ground that David Ogburn has taken over the final podium step with about 3 laps remaining. 4 laps, I guess I should say.
We got a couple cars stopped there at the exit of 1.
64 is Matthew Gray. And the rock car, I don't have the number on yet.
Oh, there may be a little bit of oil down there in 1. That could, little oil, little water, bad combination.
Ogburn has caught John Black. Black was able to hang on to third spot. And now David Ogburn right on his tail. And Black might be just a little concerned after that
They're coming up into 1,
miscalculation.
where we've got reports of oil down at 1. So side by side there, maybe a treacherous move. It's Ogburn taking a bit of a peek, not able to make it stick, but let's see where the oil is.
Neither of them have found it, or if they have, you can see steering correction on Ogburn's part as he weaved his way through that turn, right on the edge of the occasion.
Real good track feel for a guy whose career is around testing tires. So trained for that feeling. Look at that, a little bit of recovery there coming off of there. But now that he sees the carrot in front of him, Black's been fast, but you know he might also be a little bit spooked going into Oak Tree next time by, and Ogburn should be recognizing that.
Yeah, now's the time to apply the pressure. Oh, man. Ogburn and a nice four-wheel drift there at turn number 5.
Those rain tires might actually start to be a little bit worn. 12 laps in around here. So that's Baldwin.
Baldwin is going around, spinning
in
out
1.
of 10th spot into turn 1, and he's going to lose a whole bunch of ground. And that's going to promote Mike Miserandino and Mark Eaton and several other drivers. There's Miserandino in front of that, Eaton right behind him. Baldwin had already lost that position.
Yeah, he's on the dry line coming down the outside there into 1, and you can just see him sort of lock it up and plow it straight off the track, and then loops it as he gets to the exit, and then apparently just loops it again.
Goes around once again.
This is not the replay, I don't think.
I don't believe so. It looks like Richard Baldwin a little rattled, perhaps. That was at NASCAR that he went off for the second time. So he needs to take a deep breath and get back underway here.
He's going to try and defend a spot at the same time.
Yeah, that's the 55 car right behind him of Sam Schechter. Sam, one of the rookies, back in 18th position. As we see the 23 of Russ Turner. Last time by the stripe, about 4 seconds behind Frank Futrelle. There is our leader. He's got traffic in front of him. He is coming to the line to complete race lap number 12.
He's got a little slipping and sliding going with him as well. See, he pops out of the spray and shadows there, going under the flagger stand, but he's definitely still sliding. This is a lot of work for him. This is not exactly on rails. Every corner, hunting for grip, trying to get a hold of it, and now with lap traffic, it's only a couple seconds. You can see right there, Russ Turner just about 4 seconds back. It is not far at all. And if Franklin has any trouble with this lap traffic, that could be a good thing for Russ Turner. Coming through 1 right now.
47 car about to go a lap down. Ken Riley running in 36th position. It's Russ Turner in the 23 through NASCAR on his way to the left hook, or turn number 4.
He's just tiptoeing. He's watch his hands on the wheel. Great shot.
Yep. See him really having to address just little micro corrections all the way through the turn. You can tell he is right on the limit. And then there's John Black and David Ogburn just now coming into the camera shot. As there's 2 lapped cars in between our first and second place runners. And then here's the third place battle with John Black hanging on to David Ogburn, the tire tester, right there. I'll tell you what, Black is throwing that car into these S's.
He is. That's what I was saying earlier. I didn't know how much tire he was saving when he was in the battle with Russ Turner. His tires might actually start to be scrubbed down a little bit. Ogburn might be the same. He's had to push at times in this race as well, trying to catch these guys. So we'll see if either one of them has it, as Black runs a little bit deep, diamonding off that corner, but maybe able to get a good run onto that back straight.
That's where he went off a couple laps ago, so he's looking for a repeat performance here. Ogburn should get a good run off the second apex of Oak Tree, and that should give him a good run up the hill here. And he might have a challenge as we get into the roller coaster.
Hayward just texted me telling me that the rain is getting a lot worse as this race progresses. Just in the last 5 minutes, it's really picked up. And you can see, look at all the shine, all the standing water now, just beyond Franklin there, coming down roller coaster.
You understand the rain and the wind are both kicking up quite a bit more. You can see when you see a shot of the trees in the background, they are definitely being moved around.
The wind helps a little bit with the spray, kind of gets it out of your way a little bit, but at the same time, these cars, from the side aren't exactly the most aerodynamic, and the wind will push them around a little bit. It could make braking zones a little treacherous.
Yeah, especially if you're right on the edge anyway. It doesn't take much of a push from the wind.
This is 2, 3, 4 now nose to tail as they've caught Russ Turner.
Yeah, Russ Turner thought he had a comfortable lead. Not so much anymore.
I'm not sure anybody's comfortable in these conditions.
This is second, third, and fourth.
Ogburn going to take a look. He's right there. 2 laps to go, and it's 3-way. Look at him sliding, just dirt tracking all the way around 1.
Black getting a little tail happy. Ogburn trying to take advantage. Russ Turner looking in his mirror saying, where did these guys come from? There goes Ogburn at the exit of NASCAR, but he couldn't quite get alongside. Is he going to stuff it in there at left hook? Yes, he is. Not able to close the deal.
He's forcing Black into all sorts of awkward lines. No contact between them. These guys are just hard racing. But he's certainly making John Black look in his mirrors all the way through left hook.
Black pushing hard. You can see the rear end breaking away as he tries to get on the throttle as early as possible through the snake. But the spray really kicking up now. And while they've been battling, that allows Russ Turner to get a little breathing room here as we're in the closing stages of this one. We are working race lap 14.
Yeah, lap and a half to go. These guys are going to get 2 more shots to come down here around South Bend into Oak Tree. This is the first of those 2. We already saw one of these guys go off once already and get their way back on, and here they are again, hunting for grip all the way around. You see how much water's down. This is way worse than it was at the start of this race.
Ogburn is, of the 3, looks the raciest. I mean, he really appears to be throwing caution to the wind here to try to move up a couple spots. I think he sees a podium potential.
He's in the spray now of 3 cars as they're catching another one in front of them. So there's just a lot of visibility issues. The wind, you can look at the wind pushing all that spray off to the side. It's definitely picking up out there.
That's the 59 car of Wade White about to go a lap down to this group.
Ogburn looks really confident under braking. He really is closing that gap. Usually in rain conditions, you don't see somebody close that quickly. He seems to really know where his limit is under braking. We'll see if he tests John Black coming into 1 next time. He's right on his tail coming around Hog Pen.
Yeah, white flag this time by, and that lapper is definitely causing these 3 to accordion up. And here comes Ogburn taking advantage, using that lapper as a pick, as he is going to try to get side by side with John Black.
He's on the tough side of the track. That's where it's going to get greasy, though, if he has to go pushing left. Black's on the good side.
Here they come down to turn number 1. That's Russ Turner just in front in the 23 car. Black hanging on to the inside, but that's going to give Ogburn an opportunity to go around the outside where there's a little more grip. And he's gotten it done.
Great line by Ogburn to just open the hands up and let the car ride out, let it come to you. You saw on the inside John Black having a bit of trouble getting the power down. He had the back end snap mid-corner there, and that's given up the spot now to Ogburn, who now has his sights set on Russ Turner for second.
And more traffic in front. He used traffic to his advantage on that last pass. Let's see if he can do it again, or perhaps John Black can repay the favor.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We are on the final lap here. So
There's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, a whole lot of traffic.
It's like the Beltway loop going on here. There's just traffic everywhere.
Zero visibility as these guys coming through. Here comes John Black. He's resurgent, trying to get side by side with Ogburn as they enter the climbing S's.
He wants to use that other car as a pick, just like Ogburn did.
Oh,
look at
Ogburn
Ogburn
contacts him, and he's off. Looks like he had side-by-side contact with that lapper. And like I said, when you go off at the climbing S's, it's a long ride.
He took a gamble. He took a gamble to try and get around the lap car, and his body probably didn't need to. He could have waited a little bit. Unfortunately, that's going to cost him.
Yeah, no kidding.
You can see him come up here, and he just gets anxious. He gets around the 77 there and then just runs out of grip.
Yeah. 77 trying to stay out of the way, Andre Para. But unfortunately, Ogburn got the worst of it.
Yeah, Andre couldn't do anything else. He did what he was supposed to, just maintain his line, maintain his pace. Ogburn could have been a little more patient, but sometimes the red mist flies.
Here comes the man coming to the checkered flag, he hopes. That's the 97 of Frank Futrelle. He started on the pole and has never been headed in this one. Good early battle with Russ Turner. An early safety car period, but since the green flag fell for the second time, he has driven away to almost 6-second advantage. Now he has to negotiate a slower car in the personage of Tom Burt in the 45. But this checkered flag in the hand of the starter for Frank Futrelle. And he gives a wave of the fist to his crew. And his second national championship and first in Spec Racer Ford goes to Frank Futrelle. Second place should go to Russ Turner, as he was pretty much by himself. John Black, not that far back, will finish in the third spot. And who's going to take over fourth? Can Brian Schofield get up and take over that fourth spot from David Ogburn? I'm sure he will, because Ogburn looked to be losing a lot of ground trying to get back on the racetrack. And that is indeed the case. Schofield comes home in the fourth spot. Caleb Schrader in fifth. It's a good run for Caleb. He started in ninth spot, so he stayed right with it, got home in the fifth spot. Bobby Sack comes across the line in sixth. Still waiting on Ogburn to come by. As there's the 25 of Baldwin, who's had kind of an eventful race, as he was up in the thick of the battle in the top 10, but has fallen back to 17th. 67 of Andrew Charbonneau on the final lap, moves up into the top 10. So Charbonneau taking a 10th place finish. Whitney Strickland just in front in 9th. Jim Goffrey, after falling back early, finishing in the 8th spot. Mark Eaton takes 7th.
Mr. Dino looks like he had a little bit of adventurous late in the race there, finishing in 12th. A little bit of damage on the front end for him. Here's Denny Stripling winding out his day.
Stripling recovering from a couple off-course excursions. Chris Jennerjohn in the 48 just in front of him. As they come to the line side by side, I think Stripling's going to steal it. And he does. Denny Stripling takes that spot on the last lap over Chris Jennerjohn. That's for 19th and 20th.
So what a week for Franklin Futrelle. Leads every qualifying session, sets the pole time on the second day, but he was quickest in all 3 sessions. He was a man on a mission this week, and essentially from green to checker victory here. This was a pretty amazing week for him, closing it out with the victory and the gold medal. Look how happy he is.
You think he's happy? Yeah, absolutely. As he's waving to the flag marshals around the track and to the fans that are braving the elements here at VIRginia International Raceway. But sadly, this weather is not going to get any better anytime soon. So there's the unofficial results. Frank Futrelle, your winner. Charles Russell Turner finishing in second spot. John Black in third. Ryan Schofield coming home in the fourth spot on the final lap. Caleb Schrader in fifth. Bobby Sack, former champion and defending champion, in sixth. Mark Eaton, a good run, in the seventh. Jim Goffrey in eighth. Whitney Strickland in ninth. And Andrew Charbonneau rounding out your top 10, almost a minute behind the leaders. So it's really a 3-horse race at the front, as Futrelle, Turner, and Black finished within 6 seconds of each other, and then it was 26 seconds back to Brian Schofield. Again, that would have been a little closer had Ogburn been able to hang on, but nonetheless.
Yeah, great battles between Russ Turner, John Black, Dave Ogburn, all 3 of them fighting for every little inch, every position, all the way up until the last lap of the race. So just a great finish as Futrelle comes in, got the crew and the family. So proud.
Gives thanks and gets the congratulations of his crew. I love these interviews with these gold medal winners, especially when it's a long-awaited championship. I've interviewed a lot of these winners on the podium, and a lot of these drivers are in tears when they get that gold medal around their neck. This means a lot to these drivers. And let's go down to Hayward Wagner as the gold medal goes around Frank Futrelle's neck. Hayward, you've got the winner.
Frank, just a really, really simple question. How does it feel?
It feels great, man. We've had a Spec Racer Ford in my family since I was about 10 years old. So everybody out here means so much to me. I've won some big races in my life, but this is definitely the biggest and definitely means the most. Thanks to Comprint Motorsports in Athens, Georgia, this is their rental car. So anybody out here can come rent it, come drive it. And again, that's a testament to this class as well. Hop in a rental car and win a championship.
Now, just talking straight facts, you had this clip, you had the field covered all week. Is there something you knew they didn't? Is there a secret, or did the stars just align for you this year?
Well, we went to a new sequential transmission, and driving style, driving line, everything's kind of changed. So I may have been an advantage because I didn't do a lot of the old H pattern racing, so I didn't know any better. So I think the sequential gearbox has been the big difference. But these guys are good. They'll figure it out.
Well, congratulations to you. You get to take one more soggy lap around VIRginia International Raceway.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Thanks, Hayward, and great to hear from our winner. Obviously very appreciative. And it just gives you some indication of just how closely matched these cars are. That's a rental.
Yeah.
You could go rent that car next
I could.
season. Why
I would
don't
not
you?
be able to do what he does with it, but I would certainly love to try.
Exactly right. We've got our second place finisher, Russ Turner, with Hayward Wagner.
Just keep it. Oh, as we just flipped the umbrella here, really banner day conditions here at VIR. How was that race?
It actually turned out better than I thought. Obviously, I don't have a lot of rain experience, so even though this is my home track, I don't have a lot of laps here in the rain. And I got lucky in the start to be able to stick with Franklin for those few laps so he could show me around. And then I just repeated that. Did make one mistake there towards the end. I went off top roller coaster, but luckily I got the car woed up and was able to get back in line before John and Dave got by me. And it really got dicey there at the end. We just caught lap traffic right at the end, and Dave and John were on me. I think I got a little lucky in that I was able to pick one of those cars entering the S's, and that separated us, which allowed me to come around relatively easily. So.
Well, congratulations on the silver podium here at the Runoffs. We're going to bring John Black up while we're here. John, you seem to be the one to have the most action in this race. When you're in rain conditions like this, are you able to strategize to think about where you want to be and when, or are you just holding on for dear life?
To be honest with you, I was just holding on for dear life. I needed some track knowledge here and I've only run 3 weekends this year, and fortunately the last race I did was in May and it was in the rain, so I had a little practice in the rain, but pretty much just holding on, and just sometimes people go sailing off and you're just like, okay, well, I guess that works out for me. So.
Well, congratulations on the podium. Guys, I don't know if you can see it, but this driver's suit is completely soaked. I'm not sure if it's sweat or rain because John was working so hard.
Hey, thank you very much.
There's your second and third place finishers. Congratulations to all three. Frank Futrelle on his cool-down lap. Look at the smile on his face as he's waving to the camera. Is Frank Futrelle taking his second national championship as we get the highlights here. There's Futrelle going side by side with Russ Turner into the first turn. Denny Stripling right up there in third with John Black. It all went pear-shaped for Denny Stripling. And then this is the contact, including the 88 car of Calvin Kautz, which knocked him out of the race and brought out a full Courciello. After the restart, the man on the move was that orange car.
Yeah, Ogburn had a really good day there.
David
Up
Ogburn,
until
yeah.
the last laps. Denny Stripling, his good buddy, unfortunately did not have a good day. Several spins for him. This is one of the other spins. This is Satullo going up into Oak Tree. He had another one later on. So not a great day for Sandy out here either.
There's a kind of a strange off in the 119. I don't know if he just hydroplaned or lost. And here's what cost David Ogburn an opportunity for a podium spot. He's getting around a lapper. Maybe if he had it to take back, he probably would have waited a little longer to try to make that back. Cost him a shot at a top 3 finish. But no problems for Frank Futrelle as he kept his nose clean and his powder dry and worked his way into his second national championship. So that'll put a period on Spec Racer Ford 3, an eventful race, but always an exciting one to watch. But we've got lots more races to come in the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs from VIR. We'll see you down the road.
just as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why?